Why are we selling buildings off to buy new things rather than looking at the buildings that we already had and saying, how do we profit from these things here over the long term? You know, can we lease them to private companies? Can we build affordable homes? And the second point, which is probably more important, is that we obviously didn't reinvest that money into new assets because we own a lot less than we did back then and the economy is struggling. So yeah, I don't know what they did with that money. So the reason I mention that is because that law changed in 2016, as it's mentioned in this article here, which is titled "Councils Forced to Sell Off Parks, Buildings and Art to Fund Basic Services." Yeah, and it says here, a change in the law in 2016 meant councils no longer had to buy new public assets with the money made from selling them and instead could use the money to make up for shortfalls in funding. Basic services means things like healthcare, things like transport, you know, they are things that need to be paid for, but the problem with using the profit from the sale of a park, for example, is that's a temporary fix, right? That profit's only going to go so far. So it means that when that money runs out, when the profit from the park runs out, we're going to need to sell more things to plug those funding gaps, and eventually we're going to have nothing left to sell.